Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another video. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do a contest response to 3 different guys here in the VC. I usually do one video for each entry. There's just so much going on. I'm trying to do some other videos, and I really want to get some support out for these guys. So this isn't necessarily to be entered in their contest drawings. I just thought they were cool contests. These are channels that I really like on the VC, and I want you guys to subscribe. So I'll put links down below to each of these guys. But we'll go ahead and get started first. And these aren't in any particular order. They're just kind of how I ran across the videos when I was putting this together. So first up, we got Farley's Retro Fancave. Farley's been on the VC for a little over a year now. A really cool guy. Listens to quite a bit of different music. He also collects just about everything, really. He shows some cassettes. He shows laser discs. He shows records. He shows CDs. A little bit of everything. So he had a couple questions, and this is for his 325 subs. I think he's up to 350 or so now. But he had a couple questions for us. The first is, if we were on the UFC or the WWE, something like that, what would our walkout song be? That's a pretty easy one for me. It would be off of Back in Black, and the song would be Hell's Bells. I've always thought that Hell's Bells would be the coolest entrance song, and actually, either my junior or senior year at our pep rally when our football team came out, that's the song that we had playing. But just that intro for Hell's Bells with the bells and that slow, heavy riff is just cool as hell, and I just think that would be an awesome walkout song. So that's the first question. Second question was the song you would want played at your funeral. So this one is a little bit tricky. I've sadly been to a lot of funerals, and a lot of people play the same stuff. This is more of a song that I would want played if something happens to me now or within the next couple of years. And it's a song called My Little Girl from Tim McGraw. And it's just a message from him to his girl, and what to expect and what he expects of her and what he wants from her. And having a 7-year-old, the most important message that I would want at my funeral is a message to her. You know, she's definitely more important than the rest of my family and friends. So, and that's an amazing song. I recommend checking that one. I don't have that on vinyl, otherwise I would show it. Let's see. The next question was, what song would best describe your life view? And one immediately came to mind. It's off of British Steel from Judas Priest. And the song is Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. It's got one of my all-time favorite lyrics in it, and I wrote it down to make sure that I get it right. But the lyric is, I've had enough of being programmed and told what to do. Or excuse me, see, I already messed it up. I had enough of being programmed and told what I ought to do. Let's get one thing straight. I'll choose my fate, and it's got nothing to do with you. And that's actually a great one with the current political situation and political times that we've got going on, where both parties seem to be trying to brainwash and actually are doing a very good job of brainwashing the masses. I see less and less people thinking for themselves and kind of towing whatever their party's line is, not questioning what's going on with their specific parties, and that kind of says it all for me. His last one was show an album that people wouldn't expect you to own. If you've watched my channel long enough, you would know that I have this album. Not necessarily because I've shown it, but because I've mentioned it a time or two over the years. Kind of my guilty pleasure, and I don't really consider my guilty pleasure because I've just always liked the band, is the Bee Gees. So one that people may not expect me to have or like is the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. I like all the stuff that the Bee Gees released, whether from their early stuff where it was more Beatles style pop to you know, their late 70s, early 80s disco stuff. I dug it all, and I really love this album. So next up, we got DJ Legion in his 400 subs contest. He just had a couple quick ones for us. He wanted us to critique his website. I'm really not going to go down that route. You know, he wanted us to talk about stuff we like and don't like about his channel. I'm subscribed to your channel because there's something I like about you and about your channel, and I don't recommend changing that, you know. If you're looking to get more subs and that's why you want these recommendations, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, there's a lot of people with thousands of subs who do, look at Greeno, for example, does no editing at all. And I think he's got like 3,000 subs, something like that. And then you've got guys like LJ that do real heavy editing, and they've got thousands of subs. So it's not really about one or the other. It's more about the personality behind the channel. And you've got plenty of personality. You show cool music, and really that's all that matters. So that's my critique, in that it's not a critique. But and then he also said to show an album that he should have in his collection. This is one, anytime somebody asks me to recommend an album, I always recommend this album. Just because I've never ever seen anybody shown it. This band pretty much got shut down by the mainstream record labels because of who they were. So they just didn't get as big as they should have, and they're an amazing band. It's a punk band from Northern Ireland called Reufrex, Reufrex, and I'll let you look up the story behind it. I've talked about it before, and this is Flowers for All Occasions. It's kind of a comp. It's got a bunch of their singles and EPs, and this wasn't released until '85, but they've been around since the mid '70s. And again, they're from Northern Ireland. One of the best punk bands from the late 70s and early 80s. Not only did they have a really cool sound, it's very much in the vein of the Clash. However, they kind of came up around the same time, so it wasn't like they were copying the Clash. The difference is, these guys, and I've talked about this before, they were from Northern Ireland. They were there for the fighting between the Prods and the Catholics, you know, the IRA and the Catholic, or I may be getting that right, but the Protestants and the Catholics. And the big thing with Reufrex is they didn't choose a side, and because they didn't choose a side, none of the record labels would sign them. You know, they had Protestant labels, they had Catholic labels, meaning basically they had Irish labels and they had British labels, and neither would sign them because they didn't choose one of those sides. They basically talked about the issues with both sides and the issues with the fighting in general. And whereas the Clash kind of like to talk about politics, and don't get this the wrong way, I like the Clash, I like their music. I've always thought they were posers, though. I don't think they really lived the talk. I think that I think that their whole sound was more of a generated thing, where these guys were really living in the middle of it. I mean, you know, their fighting broke out constantly at their shows between the Catholics and the Protestants because they all liked this music. You know, and they were stuck in the middle of it. And again, this is a band that everybody in the underground media in Ireland and the UK were talking about. People were writing about this music, but you couldn't find it anywhere because the labels wouldn't put it out. So this was eventually put out by Stiff Records, I believe. This is MCA, but I think it was MCA and Stiff together that finally put this out years later. So like I said, this didn't come out until '85. So a lot of this stuff's almost a decade old at that point. Definitely one. I've recommended that a bunch of times. I'd recommend that to you. And then, so again, congratulations, DJ Legion. Again, 400 subs. Subscribe to his channel. Last but not least, we got Ron Haggerty, who his was a little bit more intensive in finding the stuff that he wanted to see. And a couple of these may be stretches, but whatever. So Ron Haggerty, I think it started as 777 Metal Ron 777, and then I think it became Metal Ron, and then now it's just Ron Haggerty, his channel. So this is his 300 subs contest. He's been around for a couple years now. A really good guy. Listens to quite a bit, but mostly metal. Really, doom is really where it's at for him. But he had a couple questions for us. He's a Christian, so this is all Christian-related stuff. But I decided to answer these questions without using any Christian bands. So these are all secular bands, as it were. And so let's jump into it. 3 bands with band names that are biblical references. So first up, we've got the thrash band Holy Moses. I think we all know who Moses is. He led the Israelites out of Egypt. So Holy Moses. Next up, we've got Heretic, another amazing metal band. And the idea of what a heretic is, and actually Paul in his letters to Corinth, in Corinthians, talks pretty highly of what is and what isn't heretical and what a heretic is. So, and there's also a song on here, Heretic, which could have been used for one of the later questions. And then, and I could have used Black Sabbath. I could have used. I mean, there's so much stuff that I but a lot of people have already been using a lot of that stuff. So I wanted to do it a little bit different. And then last we've got Heaven, and this is the song Bent, or that song, the album Bent. Heaven, pretty self-explanatory. Next up, we've got Roads to Judah from Deaf Heaven. Now, it's been a while since I listened to this album, and I know that they reference the temple, and there are a bunch of biblical references on this album. This is definitely not a Christian band. Judah is, of course, from the Bible. Was it David's son? I can't remember. But anyway, Roads to Judah. Judah is from the reference from the Bible. This next one is a little bit more obscure, and actually a little bit, depending on how you read the Bible or which Bible you read, this could be different things. This is Saviors and their song Into Abaddon. And they're referencing the Hebrew version of the Bible where Abaddon is a place. And I believe the Jewish believe that Abaddon is a place. But depending on the translation you go by, many believe that the Hebrew translation is that Abaddon is another name for hell. Others translate it as Abaddon is an angel that is the angel of the pit, I think is the way it's translated in Christianity. But into Abaddon. And obviously they're referencing a place there, so into hell. And then last but not least, Grim Reaper, Fear No Evil. I don't think I need to reference Fear No Evil. And then for the last few, he wanted us, as kind of a bonus, to show 3 songs with biblical references. So we've done 3 album titles. We've done 3 band names, and now we're going to do 3 songs. And this one was a little bit more tricky. Now, this first one, I mentioned I'm not going to do any Christian bands, use any Christian bands. Wasp is basically, at this point, a Christian band. Blackie Lawless is Born Again. His last few albums have been pretty much wholly Christian themed, with his last album title being Golgotha. However, when Inside the Electric Circus came out, he was far from a Christian. However, he has a song on here called King of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah are 2 of the towns destroyed in the Bible, 2 of the cities destroyed in the Bible. Next up, we've got Angels Fall, is the song on Hammerhead's The Sin Eater. Great album, by the way, if you guys haven't checked this one out. Angels Fall is a reference to the fall of Lucifer. The fall of Lucifer is mentioned in Isaiah. Also in Deuteronomy? Is it Deuteronomy? I don't remember. It's in Isaiah, though. And then last but not least, we've got the band Demon and the song Deliver Us from Evil from the Lord's Prayer. So that's it, guys. Again, that's Metal Ron, or Ron Haggerty's channel. I'll put links down below. I highly recommend you subscribe to all of these guys. They're all great guys. They're all great members of the VC, and I love watching all of their videos. Lastly, in the background, we're listening to the band Armageddon, The Money Mask. This is a band that Scott Waters turned me on a while back. I don't remember if he sent me this CD or if I bought it myself. But either way, it was him that turned me on to the band. Really killer album, though, from Retroactive Records. That's it, guys. I hope all is well. Again, click the links down below. Subscribe to these guys. Check them out. And take care, VC.